We welcome you back to Game Time. March 28th. On this date in 1990, Michael Jordan just took the Cavs to school. 69-point game. And there was something about this date, this March 28th date, that just triggered the scoring and the greatness in Michael Jordan. He has played great on that date several times. We welcome you back to Game Time. March 28th. On this date in 1990, Michael Jordan just took the Cavs to school. 69-point game. And there was something about this date, this March 28th date, that just triggered the scoring and the greatness in Michael Jordan. He has played great on that date several times, including a 33-point game against the Warriors back in '89, also the 55, the double nickel game against the Knicks, and the game that we're talking about in 1990. And you might want to see there that Golden State game was a triple-double for Michael Jordan. 9 career 50-point games versus Cleveland. I don't have to be told that. I lived it.
I was at several of those games.
You know what? It's not fun being on the other side when Michael lights you up, but it is fun to call it, I would imagine, and that's where we bring in TNT's NBA legend, Marv Albert, and we will talk to him in just a moment after listening to this call, this throwback call.
Michael always gets pumped up for games here at Madison Square Garden. Chicago does have a full timeout and a 20 remaining, except one timeout left. Starks lost his footing here as Jordan, and a surprise sets up Wennington. 3 seconds to go. The Bulls by 2. The Knicks call for time.
And as promised, Marv Albert is with us by phone. Marv, it must have been so much fun to call a game like that. Or really, when a guy is in a zone and you're a part of that and describing that, what is that like?
Well, Vince, first of all, that to me was the most memorable moment of that game. The fact that he'd had 55 points, and everybody was, thinking, hey, he's going to get the ball in the final minutes and he's going to try to score. But instead, he finds a wide-open Bill Wennington underneath for Wennington's only field goal of the night, and that's the game winner. Well, it's always a thrill to do a game like that. I mean, it was early in his return from baseball, and as I recall, he had returned under conditions where many people doubted. I don't know how Bill and Dennis felt about it at the time, but they doubted that he'd be the same dominant player that he was, before the retirement. So that was a major, statement that he was really back, and to do it at the Garden. I think it was 21 of 30 something, 37, I guess, and he had 35 in the first half. It was one of those incredible games.
Well, Marv, I never doubted the day that he would lose anything only having a year off. My question for you for that last play, do you think number 23 would have passed the ball because number 45 did?
Yeah, that's right. He was wearing number 45. Maybe it did change his personality. After you have 55 points, he picks up the key assist, which turns it. A lot of people probably forgot that he wore number 45, and I guess sold some jerseys by making the change, before getting back to number 23.
Marv, this is Bill. I don't like talking about Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I figured you would enjoy this segment. Yeah.
But if you took all his games and threw them in the garbage, what one player was the best you ever saw in a game that you called?
Well, the one that there have been so many, as you know, and saw firsthand, but early in my career at NBC, it was the first year we did NBA. He had that move in the finals against the Lakers where he switched hands and as I think back, I guess Lakers won the first game, then the Bulls took the next 4. I don't remember which game that was, but he had that incredible move that we've seen over and over. That would be one of them. The other was more of a series of shots in the finals against Portland, and he was not noted for he wasn't a Dennis Scott from three-point range. He was not noted for shooting the three, but I remember he came out early because his shooting was slightly off, and he hits the 6 threes in the first half, and he looks over. Magic Johnson was with me and the czar, Mike Fratello, broadcasting the game, and he was looking over at us, and he motioned as if, I cannot believe I'm doing this, when he hit the 6 threes. That's the other one. There have been so many, but that stands out in my mind, along with that amazing move that he made against the Lakers.
Well, Marv, Madison Square Garden is such an amazing venue, and I would imagine that every time players visit there, they think, I would love to do something great always, but to do it at Madison Square Garden, even more. So there was always that possibility that the great stars would have an unbelievable performance in that building.
It did not feel like a regular season game, and I think the 55 points, I believe, stands as the most by an opposing player at the Garden. But it was playoff type atmosphere, and Jordan was one of those players, particularly when the Knicks had down years, where he would hear the cheers from the crowd. I think the New York crowd appreciated. You wouldn't find that in too many cities, but even when the Knicks were good, they appreciated the great players in New York, and he was always very well received. In the playoffs, there were times he was not, but I felt that particular game he was. I think it was an appreciation of what this guy has done and what, just watching him. And you'd see that with some of the great players. And that night, it was really a special night. The crowd was electric, and it had that. I always used to feel there's a sound to the crowd at the Garden, and when things are going, when it's all sky high, and that was one of those nights where you could hear that sound and that buzz right from the start.
Well, Marv, I mean this. Having your voice attached to it and so many great games made it even more special. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Really, it's a pleasure to speak with you, and great job on NCAA basketball as well. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. We had a ball with it. It was a lot of fun, and we're fortunate enough to have some of the crazier games. For example, Norfolk State knocking off Missouri, and Ohio almost coming up with that win against North Carolina. So Steve Kerr and I really had a good time with it.
Well, great job, Marv Albert. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks very much.